Aloha and good morning, everyone, and welcome to our final conversation as part of our Film for Thought program in partnership with the Hawaii Council for the Humanities. My name is Anna Page. I'm the Director of Programming at the festival, and I'm honored to present this conversation with Snow Hnin Ei Hlaing, who is the Director of Midwives. And our conversation will be moderated today by Ayu Saraswati from the University of Hawaii. I'm just going to give a quick introduction of our speakers today, but I want to extend a special mahalo to Hawaii Council for the Humanities for supporting this program at HIF. We have had some amazing conversations this week as part of this program, and you can check out all of those conversations on our YouTube page or also on our HIF Facebook page. So please check out some of the amazing conversations that we've had this week. We also have 2 Film for Thought films that are available online, streaming until the 27th, Bad Axe and Battleground. So before we get started, Snow Hnin Ei Hlaing worked as a freelance filmmaker in Myanmar since 2006, acting as director, producer, editor, and sound recordist after attending film schools in both Myanmar and Germany. Her documentary short Burmese Butterfly played festivals in more than 20 countries, and Period at Period won for Best Short at the Watan Film Festival. Midwives is her feature documentary debut. And today's conversation is moderated by University of Hawaii scholar Ayu Saraswati. Ayu is a professor in women, gender, and sexuality studies at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. She is the author of Pain Generation, Social Media, Feminist Activism, and the Neoliberal Selfie, and Seeing Beauty, Sensing Race in Transnational Indonesia. Welcome to both of our speakers. And before we get started, I also want to introduce from the University of Hawaii, Danielle Seed, who is this year's Film for Thought Scholar Coordinator, to speak a little bit more about this year's theme and the Hawaii Council for the Humanities. Aloha, Danielle.
Aloha, Anna. Mahalo to everyone joining us this morning for the last of our Film for Thought discussions. My name is Danielle Seed. I'm an assistant professor of English at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, where I teach courses in film, television, and media. And this year I'm working with the Hawaii Council for the Humanities to help coordinate the Film for Thought series. The Hawaii Council for the Humanities has been part of the humanities communities here in Hawaii for the last 50 years. Our kuleana is to support the bountiful connections that have long existed in Hawaii and to foster the possibility of new connections between all kinds of peoples, cultures, and perspectives. This is the 12th year of our Film for Thought series, a collaborative program between HIF and the Hawaii Council for the Humanities that is designed to inspire thought-provoking discourse and community conversations through the medium of film. This year's theme for the Film for Thought series is activism, past and present. As I wrote in my intro to the Film for Thought booklet, activism calls to mind larger movements that aim to gain and exert power, but it can also take the form of small acts of daring and defiance. Of the 5 films in the series this year, Midwives most clearly offers us such small and simultaneously hugely impactful acts of daring and defiance. It seemed fitting then that the scholar to write and lead a discussion about the film should be someone who is also daring in her thinking. I have great admiration for bold work in transnational feminisms, as well as engagement with difficult topics like women's self-representation of pain, practically guarantees lively discussion. A huge mahalo to Ayu for participating in the Film for Thought series this year. So without further ado, I will turn it over now to Ayu.
Thank you. And for making the film. And congratulations for winning the big Sundance Film Festival's Excellent Innovative Filmmaking Award. That truly is such a big win. I hope you've been celebrating in all kinds of fun ways. But to start us off, I was wondering if you can share with us your growing up story that eventually leads you to you making this film.
Oh, okay. I made this film started in 2016, but the reason why I made this film because of the Rohingya conflict happened in Myanmar in 2012. So like that period of time in Rakhine State, a lot of chaos and ethnic cleansing in Rakhine State, because also Rakhine State is, I was born in Rakhine State, so the memory that I have it like very peaceful uh, region, and like Rohingya Muslim community and Buddhist community were friends. And then sometime this new came out like a conflict in Rakhine State. Like everyone was like so shocked, because like 600,000 of Rohingya flee to Bangladesh, and all the refugee like Rohingya refugee are in Bangladesh, and then a lot of like killing and conflict going on in the state of Rakhine. So I wanted to understand why is all these happening in my own state, because that was kind of like question to me. And as I told you that like suddenly like they all not become a neighbor anymore, they all killing each other. So that's how I started this project. That's kind of like I wanted to um, make a movie in that region. And another thing is that because if you think about like conflict or any other like war or whatever things, but everyone starting about like men fighting each other, right? But in the conflict region or war zone, there are women and children living there. So I want to look at it how women and children like living in the conflict zone, conflict region. And then another thing is that uh, my auntie who live in a Rakhine state, and she was telling me that Rohingya population is growing day by day, because like Muslim women, they don't take a birth control like to protect like pregnancy. So that's why like population is growing. So I was thinking that what are the midwives roles in the conflict region. So I was like, before I met two of my character, I was like thinking my own imagination character that there must be a midwife in the conflict zone, conflict region, and there might be a midwife in the village. They live together, and like it should be like a Rohingya Muslim midwife and Buddhist midwife living in a village together, and they work together in the clinic. That was kind of like my idea that I developed within myself for like 6 months. So I just create my own character, and then I contact my auntie. I'm sharing about like my imagination character to my aunt in Rakhine State. So she told me that okay, come to Rakhine State. Let's search for your character. So we were traveling to different villages to find my characters, and then luckily I found two of my characters uh, in a in the same village they live in, and one is a Rohingya Muslim midwife Nyu and Buddhist midwife La. They work together in the same clinic, and La is like there is a only clinic in the region that La and Nyu treating Rohingya Muslim for healthcare. So that's how I started the project.
Wow, that is so amazing. And when you said about like how you remember the space as, being beautiful, it reminds me of the film where you really weave in and out this sort of beautiful scenes, right? Of the trees and of the green. So was that something that was, I mean, hearing you mention that, it sounds like it was intentional in that sense. But what was that process of you kind of like, oh yeah, this is how you're going to bring that beauty, and also like the issues, the political issues, the violence and everything. So how did you sort of like decide in terms of how to portray that in your movie?
Yes. Oh, the first idea was like I wanted to present for coexistence between two community. That was only my main reason that I started. But then when I see two of my character, as you can see, they have like very interesting relationship, and then as you know that like a very strong character, two of them, but they have a very complex, uh, situation. And also Myanmar politics is also very complex. So when I started, because only because of the Rohingya conflict, because I wanted to understand about like why this all happened, and also like there are 50,000 of Rohingyas still living together with the Buddhist community. So that is never that. So that amount of people never mentioned in a media. So I wanted to point out that issue. That was kind of my main reason. But then after 2 years, I started this project, and then got pregnant, and then like their relationship is starting like a little bit, a bit of complex situation, and another conflict happened in the region. Like as you can see, like after 2 years, there is um, Rakhine Army and Myanmar military. They fight again. Like so, another conflict after another conflict like coming up. So I was not prepared for that. I was not thinking about like that conflict will come, and I need to prepare. But no, it's just as a documentary filmmaker. Like for example, I'm a observational. I make an observational documentary. Then that's all happened like 2 years. So I capture. So I have to capture everything, and also I didn't, because like when I started like the region that's like because of the ranger area, like military or like any government, they don't allow any like tourists or artists or journalists, or they are not allow anyone to come to that area. So the first 2 years, like I was literally alone, and I couldn't bring anyone with me, like a cameraman or like good camera, because I had to hide camera on the way to a village, and there is a military checkpoint. So I need to not only thinking about creative things, like as you said, like okay, there are the trees, and because of course like there are the like very peaceful, very beautiful thing that I can capture. But behind the things, like on the way to village is not even easy, because I need to talk with like actually I make only friend with tuk-tuk driver the first 2 years, because I don't want anyone to see me like making films in the region. So I was pretty much low profile. And then even like my auntie, like after she introduced me with we got to know two of my character. She left. She never came with me to the village, because it was that time like it was also very concerned that like Buddhist like Rakhine community coming to Rohingya village is kind of like it's kind of like risk for her, like going there for like daily village, like daily, like every day with me to village. So like only first time she came along with me, and then like the next 2 years I was all alone with tuk-tuk driver, and we had to hide camera underneath his seat, and also we need to prepare which village we are going to shoot for every day, because we need to inform where we are going. So if we say like village name, like the same village name for every day, they will get we will get suspicious. So like I need to practice, and but then somehow it's always a lot of fear. It's not only about like creativity to think, also like how risk, like how things can happen, like if I get arrested, or like it's always a lot of worry, because I'm just a documentary filmmaker. But in Myanmar there is no freedom of speech, or there is no freedom for like filmmaker or activists. So that is always like fear for all of us, not only for me, but especially this region is kind of like no one is going there. So that is kind of yeah, big worry for me, like, but somehow I can manage to go to village. And when I get there, I started thinking, okay, today what kind of creative thing that you want to make. So like things that I see, I collected everything. Yes, that's how I started. But the first 2 years I shot with iPhone camera, and very small Sony NS cam, because I don't want anyone to get like I come here for like big, big movie, or like, because for documentary filmmaker we only use like very portable equipment. But of course for my kids, it's not because of I don't want to use a good camera, because I cannot bring to the area. If they see me with like big camera, and I will get arrested immediately. So I shot with mostly with iPhone for the first 2 years. Maybe you can see that like the first 40 minutes of like film, the first past was with iPhone and like this Sony NX30. So then after 2 years, my cameraman got in, and then that one like that is also like that conflict happened in the region. So two army fighting, and on the way to village on the main road, there is no one was using that road because like soldiers are fighting different mountain. We are in the middle, so like some people get like killed by like bomb explosion. But anyway, we were lucky, like nothing happened. So but a lot of risks and fear to make this film, but somehow I like that energy, because when you get like so much, maybe the blood adrenaline or like that make you like a lot of thinking coming up. And because I don't that because like I have also like I have like sometimes you don't have time, so you need to shoot whatever you see. You don't know when you can come back to this village. Sometimes I cannot go back like 3 months. So we call it like something that we see any beautiness. And of course, like fighting is not every day, but of course every day, not all the time. So when Nunu and La call me, okay, you can come now. No more, it's kind of like quiet now. No more bomb explosion. You can come to our area. And then sometime like when the time we started shooting for 1 week, and then like this war is like really, like more like really like bomb explosion. We can hear, even you can see in the film, like 15 minutes after 15-minute bomb explosion happened, and like Nunu and La told me that okay, you should leave now, because things are more like dangerous for all of us. And if they see us like as a stranger, because we are the only stranger in that region, so you will get arrested. So I listened and trust to two of my character. They were also like really helping me for the whole process of movies. So these are the like logistic thing that also for safety I need to work on that.
Yeah, and with all of this risk and safety issues, how did you get the two characters to agree to be filmed? And I really love both of them. They're so outspoken. They're so daring with their words. I kept saying yes, and whenever they say something, I was like, wow, right? So, so how did you convince them to take part in this film?
Yeah, of course, like because I live in Yangon, not in Rakhine State, but I was born in Rakhine State. That is kind of like they trust me because we are from the same region and I speak local dialect, so that make like they trust me more than other filmmaker. If ever other filmmaker come, they might not accept because they kind of like that period of time they don't want to see any other ethnic group come into the region. So that is plus one for me. Like it's really grateful that I can speak, and I know I'm from that region. And the first time they were asking me that, are you journalist? Because I'm not journalist, because they were worried that like I make like short documentary or short um, TV news clip and post on Facebook, like because some other journalists, of course, some journalists like long time ago before me, some people come and like they post it on Facebook, so they don't want that. So I told them, no, I'm not a journalist. I'm a filmmaker. I want to learn, I want to know about you, and I wanted to understand how you work together within in this like conflict time, because like two community were like not talking and they are like separate living. And so I'm very much inspired, like I told them I'm very inspired from like both of you, that the way you are treating patients, and you are so brave and you're a strong work. And so I was kind of I really appreciate that what they are doing in the region. So this kind of things that I want to learn, and I want to make a film. So that film will be really good because people need to see how good you both of you are, how strong you are. So I started talking to two of my character like that. And then like the first like one trip was like kind of their stay, not really like, because I need to build up trust between trust building between two of my character. So it took time. It took like I went back and forth like maybe 3 months. It took 3 months. Like, of course, I always go there, but sometimes yeah, last said, "Oh no, stop it! I don't want to be. I don't want to. I don't want you to film today. I don't want that. But then next day he was like, okay, okay, you can come. Her emotion is changing all the time. As you can see, he lived with like controversial, right? So like sometimes she's okay, sometimes she was not okay. But it was like that, like 3 months. But then after 3 months, they trust me more because I told them I'm not a journalist to disappear only one shot and disappear forever, not like that. So I went back to Rakhine State, this village, for 5 years, like including film editing and post production. It took 6 years to finish this film. So like it was long process, and they trust me, and we became like a family and like sister, and like this is like, because this is the reason why I made to make this film is like I wanted to make film about women living in the conflict region. So this is really dedicated to not only to Myanmar, not only to like, because we are living in like this the whole world is like really chaos and everywhere is war, as you can know this. So my film is really dedicated to women living in the conflict region. There are women, very strong women in the conflict region. Of course, they need help, but if there is no help, they keep forward, and they are strong for their, dedication, and they make them like, they push themselves, not asking from anyone to help them. They don't wait for someone come and help them. They just keep forward. Of course, there are like up and down, but two of my characters, they show that such a great, personality, or like they have such a great like courage, and like brave, and keep going for their life, and no matter what situation.
Yeah, I wonder too, because again, we're talking about safety and risking everybody's lives in this film, and so I wonder if you've been sort of thinking about, their lives, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, because as I'm cheering for them, as I listen to what they said about the army, about the government, and I'm like, yes. And at the same time, I'm worried and anxious for their lives as well as a viewer. And so I was wondering how you have approached that, and if you've been in contact with them recently. How are they doing? They're safe. So I was wondering about, I guess, as a filmmaker, right? Like there's always this sort of like ethical responsibility to make sure that they're, like you said, right? It's not like a one-shot thing and then you just, are out of their lives. It's not that kind of relationship.
Yes. We talk 3 times a week. Sometimes they call me. I was traveling and they call me, and they wanted to share not only about clinic, also their life and children, or like everything. Um, Nunu and La, they are okay. They are still living in the same village, and Nunu has her own clinic, right? So La has her own clinic, but sometimes like there are like 2 or 3 pregnant women to deliver in a day. So also for like delivery baby, and La cannot do alone. So Nunu is always there. Of course, La, as a mentor, she was always like calling Nunu, you should come and walk. She has to go whenever La is calling her. So she was telling me that, she called me, so I need to walk with her. Of course, there is like some, because La, it's, you can see that La has this kind of like character and so mean, but somehow inside her is like she wanted to train her, or she also have like this kind of like you know yeah, he has a good heart to treat them. Of course, there is a character that everyone has it, that kind of personality type, but somehow he has, really caring for women. Only he has like bad mouth, if I can say. So they still work together, but now in Rakhine State, there is it was like kind of like 1 year, no more war. Like there is like civil war stop for 1 year, but now coming back to that area. So another fighting, like two army is fighting again, but they are safe somehow, like before. But I'm always checking with them. Also, we have a safety fan for two of my character. So we are also like some funding that we say we send it to La and Nunu for if ever they will need to go somewhere, and we have the funding that they already receive it, and they can do for like safety. And also I'm ready to support two of them, but also I'm now working with La Nunu situation. She wanted to leave the village, so I'm kind of like supporting her how she can you know her he can leave. Yes.
Yeah. So the other thing I was wondering too is I love how strong, Nyo comes across in your film, and that at least to me, there is no intention to put these women on a pedestal, right? And so
Yeah.
I love that scene when Nyo was sharing. Yeah, one of the women asked me, I thought there's like more money in there, and then she was like smiling. I thought that was like very interesting, and how they were tricking, the system, right? And how they fight, like you said earlier too, how they fight with each other. And so, can you tell me a little bit about like the process for you to, to have this kind of representation of, these two women, their relationship, their tensions between each other, the conflict, but also it's sort of like the larger conflict, right? And so this is not one of those films that aim to just like, oh, look at their lives, or in this way, but it, the richness of their stories, of their daily lives, but also the conflicts and the tensions, and how they're tricking the system, which I love. Super super awesome.
Yeah. So your question is
Because a lot of the time when in terms of the documentary, right, like this
yes.
is people understand that this is their character, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is how this women are, that they're at sometimes they could be tricky, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they could be manipulating the system,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how do you kind of like process that in terms of having a representation of someone who agreed to be in the film, but then still you're, as the filmmaker, has the absolute, I shouldn't say absolute, but the final say of how they get to be represented. In other words, like if someone were like want to make a movie of me, then the assumption is, well, hopefully you're gonna like put me in a good light, that that I'm like this person or that person, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when that person portrays me in a very like tricky, or like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes manipulative, then I might get feel betrayed or something like that, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
wonder how you as a filmmaker, and then like you said, you still now have that really good relationship with them too, right? In other words, they don't feel betrayed, that your representation of them actually,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just that like everything good about them. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yeah. As you can see through from my film, like it's kind of like honest representation of like two of my character. Also, I didn't, I don't, I'm not judging like who is right and who is wrong. And also, I'm not pointing out, hey, you should see this conflict and this and that. But I collect all the material that through from two of my characters. So everything around that all happened is like it just literally like really honest ways of representation. So presentation. So I'm not like talking like, okay, you should look at this and these are this women is good, and I never say it in the film the whole. Also, two of my character, they have like this like they have like moment that they don't talk, but that time I was never ever say like, okay, you are right and La, you are wrong. So I really need to be like really just listen what I hear. So I just collect everything I hear and I see. So through from my eyes, then I deliver to audience that everything I got it from me. So my film is really like is really, I think, kind of raw, like really true, that reality that you can feel it, like reality that you can see it, like all the energy that I got it from two of my character. that is also reflect to my country, I guess, so yeah, and another thing is that, I started project because of the one conflict and then second conflict, and that is military coup happened in Myanmar. That was kind of like shock for me. The time when the coup happened, I didn't finish yet my final shoot because I was waiting to go back to Rakhine State to shoot, and then COVID came, so I couldn't go there. There is no flight to go there. And then after COVID, and then suddenly, like not even after COVID, during the COVID time, military coup, and then I was protesting like in Yangon 2 months, 3 months. Then I realized that after 3 months I should go, but otherwise I can't get out. Like I can't finish this film. So luckily, like that time, these two army like fighting in Rakhine State, they stop. They stop for like they kind of like agreement to stop for shooting each other. So the flight in that time, only flight that ran into that area is Rakhine State. So I was like, this is a good chance. I should take flight, and then I went there, and then like I shot for 2 weeks, all the like financing that I need to film. And after 2 weeks, I came back to Yangon, and then I left Myanmar. I also need to leave Myanmar. Now I'm in Berlin right now. So I'm in another person's house, as you can see. A lot of things behind. This is not my house. So I'm also like, you know, yeah. So I'm outside of Myanmar, and I don't know when I can go back to my home. And the time, like as you know that like in Myanmar, political situation is really bad now. Very horrible situation. So many activists and artists and filmmaker journalists got arrested, and the time when I left, like some of my friends got arrested, and I was really worried that I might get arrested one day, because like everyone get out and like get out for like protests, and never know, someone just come and arrest you. So I left after final shoot. Now I'm like kind of like exiled, and I don't know where is my home now. I'm just like traveling with the film. So like yesterday I arrived from Amsterdam, ITVA Film Festival. So now I'm in Berlin. So after presentation for 2 days, 3 days, I was yes, it was really great screening and full house, and like all tickets sold out, and it was, yeah, it's really good that like I can show my midwife film to audience. Also, this is the time that in a everywhere, like for example like Europe, also very difficult time with like their neighborhood country situation. So Myanmar news is disappear. So with my film I can ask people to listen to what is happening in Myanmar, also support to our country. So I really hope that this film is also dedicated to my country, that peace and harmony, democracy coming back to, our country. So this is also like the past like 6 years history of my country. So if you look at the whole story, that you can also capture not only about midwife story, this is really about also my country political situation. So really, I think I capture things that I can as a filmmaker. I deliver to you all. Yes.
It is a very beautiful and brilliant film, and I thought that your decision to focus on midwives, right, to talk about larger political issues was amazingly brilliant. It was like right on. And I teach women's studies, and I can't wait to teach your film, because it just like you talked about the rawness and everything, every scene that you represent, that you include in the film. And what I really, really love about your film as well is that I don't get a sense as a viewer that this is a film that positions me as the viewer as the white savior, right? Because a lot of the time, I was born and raised in what they call this third world country as well, right? And so whenever they see these films about the third world country, it's always about, oh, poor people, or like, poor you, oh, this bad thing's happening there. How can I help you, right? This sort of the white savior complex kind of thing. What I love about your film is that it doesn't position the viewer in that sort of, category, right? And so I wonder too, what would you like the viewers to do then, right? What kind of other invitations that you are actually envisioning the viewers to do, to act, or what do you want them to do after viewing, watching your film?
Yes, so I just told you that like I really want viewer to listen and read the news from Myanmar and support Myanmar people. Of course, like it's so far away, but even just like conversation with your friends about my country, because right now in my country, like so many young people, and they stop their professional life and they are in a forest and fighting back to military. So somehow like the country's situation is really bad. So if you have a friend, please support and just call them. Also keep talking about Myanmar, news is disappear, keep talking about Myanmar, because it was, we were so ready to, we are from that war country, but somehow the last 6 years, we were kind of like developing a lot and so ready, and now country is totally collapsed. So if someone from Myanmar who want to study abroad or who want to do something like coming out or like who need help, please help them. That's what I want to request to the audience. And another thing is that if you see my film, like I want people to look at, like, there are men and women, and I want people to look at, there are so many women, dedicated, very strong, courageous women living in a conflict zone. And and sometimes, as you said, somebody look at you like poor, like, of course, maybe you can see them like a poor, but if you look at the way they think, the way they walk, not poor at all. It's just so like so rich, that the way they think about their life, so they think a lot of like thinking ahead. So that are the things I learned from these two women. I think my story also reflect to so many women, can touch to so many women, because yeah, for me also I made this film because of I'm so respect to so many women. Women has so much, you know, hidden layers and complex and so courageous and so brave. And there are a lot of women. Also, these women from the conflict region, we can hear this kind of like very voiceless woman that I wanted to bring out, like, So that's the way I think I really want other women to speak about, like, think that they see and brought like story from your country, like women's story, and we need to hear women's story, then we can know what other women are facing that issue. But when we see that women, it's not like women from Myanmar. It's really universal. Women from, Latin America or women from other country, also Germany, I also screen here. They were like so many midwives also come, like they really like, oh, we also the same, this kind of things, it's everywhere. We live in different country, but we all are the same, like very universal. Like everything we are facing in Myanmar, also facing in other country, like for other women, also the same story. So yeah, let's make
Go ahead.
more women's story.
Yeah, I really love it when you weave in like this sort of like challenges to patriarchy, right? I think, like Nyo about, oh, and then I still have to clean, I still have to cook, and then that scene where she had to like, get like water for her husband, and I was like, yes, feminist moment right here. So I really enjoyed it. It was so rich. It was wow, and
Yeah.
you have all of these things, and I love the sort of like the everydayness the TV programs, right? The songs that get into that they internalize. So when you did shoot the film, were you just sort of like hang around and wait until like they watch something on TV, or was it something that you kind of like notice, oh, this is how it was, and then you specifically sort of like maybe like ask them to do something about it, or what were some of the process of both filming and then this sort of like the self-reflection in terms of this process of them internalizing, right, this hatred toward the other, even though as they live, or like you said, coexist with one another?
Thanks for your question, because like I didn't, for example, like this propaganda song sings and lot new business, fish business and popsicle business. No idea. I have no idea really. I went there. Whenever I went there, their life is a lot of things going on. Like I went there to start shooting, everything is happening like just in front of me. So I was like really like collect everything what I see. Like her husband is watching the TV and Nyonya was cooking and talking about how he doesn't like that song. And then like next morning last said I have like this kind of I will have a like a popsicle business, like popsicle. I bought a popsicle from city tomorrow. And she was like, I was like, what kind of business? Because I need to do it. She didn't tell me. She didn't tell me in advance, because also she doesn't know when she will start. She just like, okay, I do it today. I make decision yesterday. I do it. So like I went there, and then it just like this popsicle business like in front of her house, and I collected what's going on. Even you can see in the film, she was like, there's fish business behind. Okay. It was everything happened when I get there. Every time I get there, something just happened. So it's really magical. I think this film is really magical for me. Like everything, it's just giving me like more and more and more. So I feel really grateful that all these magical things happen. I think I also do visioning process. So somehow it's also like it's part of the story that I make. So something magically happen because of manifestation process, maybe.
So we have a question from the audience.
Yes.
So 6 years is a very long time. Your resiliency is commendable. Were there any breaking points for you where you wanted to just quit, especially with all the political upheaval? Great question.
Oh yes, very great question. Um, when I shoot in Rakhine State, I had like a lot of fear, and somebody can get arrest me, or like we shot in this kind of like safety concern. But arriving like then after like 2 or 3 weeks, I was shooting, and then we went back to Yangon where I live, and then the plane landed in Yangon. I feel so free, and there is no war in that period of time. Like there is no war, there is no need to worry about my safety. So that part of me was like, how so lucky am I, and how so unlucky for two of my character. They live with all these like tension and like conflict zone, and they need to change their like a business, or they need to work on like daily life like this. And but for me, when I got back to my city, I feel so grateful, so lucky. Then that always make me not to quit, because I wanted to show them like I feel so thankful that I'm safe, but they are not safe, right?
Mhm.
And of course, like there are that moment time that I don't want to hear anything about conflict. I don't want to hear. Sometimes they call me like they're up and down feeling. They share me everything. I don't want to hear it. So sometimes I was like, but you have to listen when they call me. But the thing is, what I do is like when I got back to Yangon, I have my healing process. Things is I dance. I dance for healing all my creativity, like everything I come along with all these political situation and coming back to city and I focus on dancing. So that made me like actually in Yangon, like most people they don't know about I make this film. So I cannot share to anyone because I don't this is kind of like very I low profile that I shoot and I don't trust. So it was a lot of heavy for me also to my character and they put me energy their energy and this saver energy and like oh I will go better. So many things going into me. You see me like just me, but a lot of things going inside me. So I need to heal with
Mhm.
like yeah, meditation and dancing. I
Mhm.
do dance for healing.
Mhm. I was actually going to ask you, so you're like so good at I ask you one thing and then you like answer like three or four more of questions that I have listed. So because I was going to ask you the follow-up question of that, which is like what practices that you do for quote unquote, I guess, self-care or like healing. I like
Mhm.
your better like healing. So you mentioned meditation, you mentioned dance, you also mentioned not listening to any news just for a period of time. Are there any other things that you do, or was there anything that these women sort of like taught you, the two characters I meant, that or like you learned from each other about this sort of like the healing sort of
Mhm.
process?
Yes. Of course, like I came back to Yangon and I do this kind of like I listen and also I watch their material. But another thing what I do is the past like during the time I also need to find funding. I was pitching in different countries, so I need to prepare for pitching competition, and I make trailer coming back from another shooting, and I have like more developing uh, a trailer that I can make. So I cut, and I was so busy actually. I came back, and then I need to prepare like to attend. Forum because most of my funding come from pitching competition. I pitch in Korea and hot dog Canada and India. So a lot of things going in my life, like not only about making film, also fundraising process is big part because without funding I cannot go to that place like it I need to take flight and also pay for my cameraman also everything was like long process and so these are the things that I do parallel like shooting and trying to get a funding from other country. Also I took part of like master class for chicken and egg picture that they give like I got support for chicken and egg picture. They are like sentence program that I listen to other filmmaker how they do their work. And also because like you are mostly like filmmaking is such a lonely process that you are working on, but actually we have a community to support us. Like of course we work alone mostly, but when you look at it and there are a lot of filmmakers that sharing their experience and how did they like achieve their stories and how they heal their creativity part. And so I'm listening to a lot of things. So even though like they don't know me, but I watch like a lot of like foreign, and that's how I learn and prepare for my next conference or like forum need to attend. So these are the thing I was doing.
Yeah, and for we only have a few minutes left, but I can't end without asking, what's next for you? What's the next movie it's going to be about, or anything that you can share with us? I'm so excited.
uh, yes, so next week I'm going to Asia. um I will live in Thailand. So that is my plan. And actually I already started like a story about Myanmar community living in Thailand, but I don't want to talk very detail. I'm just stay started. But it's about Myanmar story again because like this time we all left our most people we have to leave our country, and so many migrants worker living in Thailand for many years. So I'm interested in that story.
I
Yeah.
truly can't wait. Thank you again so much for being here and for making this film. I am definitely going to teach your film, and it is just such a beautiful and brilliant incredibly brilliant. Sort of, you know, like the filmmaking, the narrative. I mean, the storytelling that you tell through the richness of the visuals in your film. It's truly amazing, and it's been so impactful. So
Yeah.
thank you
Thank
again
you so
so.
much for, yes, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for showing my film in your film festival. And really, really, you know, happy to share my country story. And, you know, I hope like many people can watch Midwife films. And if someone want to connect and to ask, like just follow, just ask me, like there are email that you can find. And yes, thank you everyone. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Snow, and thank you, Ayu, for the conversation today. This was a really incredible conversation. I loved hearing more, Snow, about your experience and the process of making the film, and just a little bit more also about the characters that you share with us. It was just really, really amazing. So thank you so much. I want to extend a special another mahalo to Hawaii Council for the Humanities for their support for this program. Please, audience that are watching, if you have not already seen Midwives, please keep an eye out for more screenings, virtually or in person, where it will come out. Please stay tuned and catch this film because it's absolutely incredible. So thank you, everyone, for being here today. And just a reminder for everyone at home, too, all of our Film for Thought conversations are now available to view on our Facebook page or our HIF YouTube channel. So check those out. Thank you again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.